You know, when you see The Rock and he's standing there with his shirt off, with his shorts on, there's not a man alive who doesn't want to be built like that. They all want to be built like that. So if he's telling you that he's not doing anything to get that, first of all, when you're 18, just doing something once is not going to give you gyno.
Without enough information went into haphazard use of like a pro-hormone or like an oral steroid without understanding like the pharmacology around it, and then fuck themselves up.
One time?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like you do like a heavy cycle of D-ball or something, get some gyno, and...
No shit. I thought it would take a few cycles.
In comparison.
Yeah, let's go to like the early days of The Rock. I mean, he was like... very athletic, great genetics, big, strong guy.
Yeah.
But he didn't look anything like he looks now. The mass and the striations and the vascularity.
This version of him did, but like this version definitely didn't.
Yeah, like that version. I mean, he's fit.
On the right, yeah.
Looks good, but look at the difference there.
Yeah.
Hair.
If there's something we shouldn't be surprised at anymore, it's the idea that Joe Rogan will say whatever he wants if he thinks it's true in his mind. Between the controversies he started with COVID, the vaccines, his past language on his own show, and more, Joe has never been one to think before he speaks, and now he's taken it to a level that will likely get him in trouble once again, because in the wake of the Liver King scandal, Rogan has called out certain Hollywood types to say they should come out about taking steroids. One of those people was The Rock. We'll break it down for you, but before we do that, go ahead and do us a favor by leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Do you want to win an iPhone 12, maybe a MacBook Pro? How about $500 cash? All you have to do is comment the secret hidden message somewhere in this video. That's it. Oh, and leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so we can keep affording these giveaways. Winner will be announced at the last day of each month. Thanks for watching and good luck. Number 4, the setup.
What I was going to do, and I'm looking at your body just like everybody else who's in the space, and saying, you know, it's not possible to look like that guy right there. And then the story comes out last week about the stuff that you were taking in an email.
And what was surely a sad day for fans of Harry Jeremy-style beards, the internet's paleo king, the Liver King, has admitted that his $100 million a year empire was at least partly built on lies. Contrary to what he has previously maintained, the Liver King has and does indeed still take steroids.
If you want to put that up there, Rob, when you see in the email, well, you know, this email and that, this was taken and that was taken and this was taken. And for people that are in the space, they know what those things are. You know it yourself. If you're in the space, you know it.
Though chowing down on things like bone marrow, raw liver, and other parts, the Liver King has built an empire advocating a return to what he calls ancestral living.
And I think we're getting to a phase where steroids, if a person chooses to do it,
recruiting his wife, HRH, the Liver Queen, and their children to abide by the 9 ancestral tenets: to eat, sleep, move, shine, connect, cold, sun, fight, and bond.
For whatever reason they want to do it. There's some studies that say you ought to do it. Your TRT levels, your testosterone levels are low, this, that. I think we're getting to a level where it's no longer a big deal. But you kept saying, I'm not, and then boom, this comes out.
Now, Liver King, real name Brian Johnson, has been caught after emails leaked in which he tried to buy steroids. I fucked up. I'm embarrassed and ashamed. He explained in a confessional apology video posted to YouTube. I am as sorry as a man can be, he added.
And the world hears about it. I've heard your video where you talk about this, but maybe share with us, when you first saw this email that came out and the world saw it, what was your immediate reaction?
After admitting taking 120 milligrams of testosterone per week, but denied rumors such as having ab implants and plastic surgery. The Liver King said his steroid use is monitored by a trained hormone clinician and blamed his use on insecurity.
And there's this pew that I sit at in my house. It's nice and dark. Nobody can actually see me. They walk by, they don't even know I'm there. And so I check my phone, and there's a message, a group message that says,
citing the pressure of social media and unexpected public exposure. He claims to have tried multiple peptide hormones in an effort to increase his levels of growth hormone. After that didn't work, he tried the pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, which finally balanced his testosterone levels after feeling not his best physically and mentally at the age of 43. Of course, going to see a physician if you're not feeling your best and experimenting with treatments that might help is a smart move. According to Harvard University, growth hormone, GH, is a small protein that is made by the pituitary gland and secreted into the bloodstream. GH is usually produced at night, with levels increased following exercise, trauma, and sleep, with production declining from middle age. Adults with bona fide GH deficiencies benefit from GH injections. They enjoy protection from fractures, increased muscle mass, improved exercise capacity and energy, and a reduced risk of future heart disease, the Harvard author writes. Alongside genuine medical concerns, this unfortunately makes GH or HGH a prime candidate for athletes wanting a little edge. Adults who are GH deficient get larger muscles, more energy, and improved exercise capacity from replacement therapy. The piece continues, noting that despite it being banned by the International Olympic Committee, Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and the World Anti-Doping Agency, GHAB is rife. The Harvard piece also explores GH's effect on aging, pointing to a study review in which a total of 220 subjects received GH against a control group of 227 who didn't receive steroids. On average, the treated individual gained an average of 4.6 pounds of lean body mass, and they shed a similar amount of body fat. In other words, they were well on their way to the Liver King physique. So basically, he was a fraud. And another cautionary tale. The problem is that when you have someone like this exposed, it gets other people up in arms and shooting their mouths off about who might be using it too. Number 3, Joe Rogan on The Rock.
Here then.
Yeah, I mean, looks very fit. I mean, he's pretty jacked. That's more recent because that's the crazy tattoo. That's him now. I mean, this is much older. I mean, he's a fucking massive,
Yeah, there's
heavily
some
muscled
shots
guy.
of him where it's just like,
Speculation about whether the Liver King might be stripped of his crown and titles is moot at this point, but his admission have sparked a large conversation around steroid use, with usually reticent podcast host Joe Rogan popping his head about the parapet to opine that celebrities such as The Rock and Chris Hemsworth may also be juicing. The Rock should come clean right now, Rogan joked in a recent show with Derek from the YouTube channel More Plates, More Dates, before adding, "There's not a chance in hell he's clean. Not a chance as hell. As big as The Rock is at 50, the point is you can't even get there with HRT. Hormone replacement therapy. That's not HRT. He is so massive and he's so different than he was when he was 30.
So what kind of stuff do you think? Well, that was he looks pretty good there. He just doesn't look lean.
I think there was like, type in The Rock Scorpion King. I think that was an old enough movie where it was like on the red carpet, the guy just looked like a totally, I don't know, like a shell of what he is now, and that was...
As a football player, then a wrestler and actor, Dwayne Johnson's physicality has been at the forefront of 3 careers. And while he's always been jacked, it arguably wasn't until 2013's Pain and Gain, filmed when Johnson was in his early 40s and played an uber-jacked bodybuilder, that he first appeared as physically massive as he is today. And we'll be happy to admit that in his early days in the WWF/WWE, he had a more lean style of body that he carried over into his Hollywood days until Pain and Gain, when he started getting bigger.
Yeah, no, he looks pretty big.
Yeah.
Look, he's a giant dude, massive human being, and clearly when he's lean and he looks great. But
Yeah.
what do you think you would have to do to achieve that kind of a physique at 50? First of all, you wouldn't maintain that kind of mass as you naturally got older, normally.
But just because someone has a body transformation doesn't always mean that they use steroids or other drugs. The tell, if you will, is if they appear that way in a very short period of time with no explanation. Except The Rock has an explanation, and he shows it all the time. It's called hard work. Number 2, The Rock Way. When The Rock started his fitness journey, he found a way to push himself to a limit through rigorous and consistent training and eating the right way. He's even dedicated his social media pages to showcasing it. And as if that wasn't enough, he went and made his own gym that he took with him all over the country as he started getting busier. That's right, he made a mobile gym and ensured it went everywhere he did, so he could have it every time he worked out. And he pushed himself to the ultimate level in the movie Black Adam, where he openly admitted multiple times that he pushed his body to the brink to be as muscular as possible, so that when he wore the suit of Teth Adam, everyone would know it was his own muscle and no padding. He even talked about how one time he was locked out of his house because of a glitch, and so he ripped off the metal gate that was in front of him. He did that with ease. So yeah, The Rock doesn't fake it. Not in WWE, not in his movies. He's too dedicated, and it's honestly really sad that Rogan would question him just because of his age. There have been many actors who have looked one way in one movie or TV show or setting, then got on the right regimen and looked jacked later on. A great example is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Look at the shape his body was in during the first X-Men movie. Then fast forward to something like The Wolverine or Days of Future Past, and you'll see he is so much more muscular than he was back then. Was Jackman using steroids? No. Number 1. The Marvel methods. Rogan's conversation then turned to whether Chris Hemsworth took steroids for Thor: Love and Thunder. We can answer that for Rogan. He did. Many people have joked being on the Marvel method when they get roles for the films. Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, the late Chadwick Boseman, and more had to get in literal superhero shape so that they could take on the physical challenges of being a Marvel character. Do you really think Disney would have risked their health and future movie appearances by putting them full of steroids? Or that so many actors would willingly take them just to keep their part? Exactly. In fact, Chris Hemsworth said the process to get bulked up was so hard on him in terms of the regimen that he had to take a break to ensure he stayed healthy. One of the stars of the Eternals was more than happy to slim down after the film after doing the Marvel method. We've been trained as a culture to look for athletes and other people who went from being slim to being jacked, and to only think the answer to all that was steroids. At times it is, but for The Rock, Hemsworth, Jackman, and others, it wasn't, and Rogan should be ashamed for insinuating that with any proof. And there you have it, everyone. A look at the situation between Joe Rogan and The Rock, and where the host will once again face backlash because of what he said. Can you believe he's called out The Rock, given how open he's been about everything he does physically? What do you think The Rock will say when he hears about this? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.